Hey everybody, hope you guys are doing good today. And man, just out here enjoying the beautiful sunny afternoon. Taking a little bit of break from the Fish the Moment Lake Map breakdowns I've been working on. Got sort of behind on them at the Toyota Series tournament last week and getting caught up this weekend on it. And hey, just want to take a couple minutes here and sort of go over today's video. And what I wanted to talk about today is, and I've been wanting to do a video on this for quite a while, it's kayak bass fishing. And unless you guys are living under a rock, I mean, you can see the entire sport of kayak bass fishing is just taken off like a rocket. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's been under the radar for a lot of people, but now it's just getting into be in the mainstream. You see it, all the tournament organizations are having a kayak series now. This thing started several years ago, basically as like a recreational pursuit, and they started organizing smaller tournaments, and they got so popular that there's big kayak championships now with up to $100,000 first prize in the tournaments. So what I want to talk about today is sort of my whole take on this whole kayak bass fishing, sort of the way I see it on there, and I'd be curious to get your guys' comments at the end of the video on too, sort of bounce them off. First of all, I'm gonna say right off the bat is I love the concept of kayak bass fishing. I mean, if you guys have followed me, throughout my career much, or what I do in the videos, you guys know that, environmental issues are really important to me. The whole thing about the sport is getting sort of to the point where it's becoming an elitist sport with how expensive the tournament equipment is. And it's getting so, just out of everybody's price range for the average guy that, they simply can't compete, having $100,000 boat and trucks, it's just out of range for most people. And kayak bass fishing is a way to get into the competitive part of fishing at a lot more affordable price. But there's a lot other stuff to it. I mean, back when I was a kid, before I got my first boat, I had an 11-foot canoe, and you can imagine how tippy this 11-foot canoe was. And I'd take it to a lot of the creeks and the ponds around Joplin where I grew up. And the great thing about fishing out of a canoe or a kayak like that is it gets you in tune with the more primal aspects of fishing, which I'm all about. It gets you into stealth, being quiet. The entire energy and the vibe of fishing out of a kayak versus a bass boat is completely different. It's therapeutic. I mean, anyone that's ever been in a kayak or a canoe can tell you how therapeutic it is. It's just the act of paddling the canoe, the sounds that the paddle makes in the water, how you glide into cover, a lot more quieter. And I just love the whole aspect of the simplicity of a kayak or a canoe like that. Kayak bass fishing, while I really love the basic premise of it, as far as, having a way for people to experience bass fishing and tournaments at a lower cost, but there's also an aspect of kayak bass fishing that is sort of going along the same road that we're seeing with technology. I see these kayaks now that I have no idea how much these things cost. I mean, they are pimped out. They've got, the kayak, the kayak himself is just unbelievable, the designs. But, they've got trailers with them, they've got power poles with them, they've got trolling motors with them, they've got different ways of propelling them, they've got electronics on them. I mean, it's like a mini bass boat. So, I hope the kayaks don't go to the same road where all of a sudden you're starting to see these $20,000 kayak rigs, which would be ridiculous. But, the future of kayak bass fishing is super bright. I mean, I don't see it slowing down at all, simply because it allows anglers to not only experience the things that we've just talked about as far as the more pure basic levels of fishing, but it also allows you to fish bodies of water that you simply cannot fish in a big boat. There's so many good waters out there. There's so many ponds and creeks, small lakes that don't allow motorized horsepower vehicles or boats on there. And kayaks are perfect for that. That probably one of the best fishing trips I ever took in my entire life was out of a canoe, when I had a chance to go up to the Quetico Wilderness area with Rick Clunn and Jerry McInnes years ago, and just caught so many big smallmouth out of a canoe that you just really gives you a chance to reconnect. But aside from the obvious with the canoe, and the obvious is as far as the simplicity, the basic approach of it, you know, the stealth, the quiet, the individuality that goes behind it, because you're by yourself in a kayak the whole time. That creates a completely different feel from just traditional bass fishing. You know, I really think it's a way, you know, it helps people, you know, reconnect more with what fishing is really about, because you know, that's one thing that we've noticed in the sport of fishing. If you look back at the history of fishing over the past 100 years, fishing, you know, for so many years it was considered, sorry about that. It's a nice week and there's noise out there, but if you look back at the history of fishing, you know, fishing was always considered sort of a recreational, calming, therapeutic type of a sport. And it's only gotten up until the past 40 or 50 years, when tournament fishing has came about, that it's become this something else that it's never been before. And I really think it's important for everybody to stay grounded in the fact that, you know, fishing needs to maintain its foundation. And that foundation, aside from, you know, providing food for our families and that type of stuff long ago, it provides an avenue and an escape, you know, from, you know, the pressures that we have in everyday society. I mean, our society is such a high pressure, you know, situation to live in. We all have responsibilities. We all have things that stress us out. We all have challenges, and, you know, fishing is a way to release that. It's therapeutic. It allows you to release those stressors, and things like kayak bass fishing are the things that, you know, get you right in line with that. But man, I tell you right now, you know, the kayak bass anglers that I've met and talked to are passionate about their sport. We get, like here at Fish the Moment, we get requests all the time to build maps for anglers on these smaller lakes that they have the kayak tournaments on. You know, I hear more and more people talking kayaks. I'm a kayak angler. I love to fish out of kayaks. That, you know, it's really becoming a mainstream deal in our sport anymore. But anyway, that's just, you know, sort of my takes on it. You know, my take about the kayak bass fishing and the bass fishing tournaments. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. I think it's great for our environment. I think it's great for the sport. I think it's great for allowing people to get into the sport that wouldn't normally, you know, because of expense. So from my standpoint, it's awesome. But let me know what you guys think, man. Just give me guys some comments on that, bounce off. I'd be curious to hear. And I'm really curious to see where it goes and moves from here in the future. So anyway, I got to go get Sage. She's barking at a dog across the next fence. So we'll talk to you guys later on. See you.